So here it was, get back to work, and probably 90 days later, still facing financial challenges. All the open merchandise, display merchandise, we're literally looking to blow out for pennies in the dollar. That was where a light bulb went off for me, and I said, well, what if I made it easy and just bought up all that type of inventory from every Circuit City store within 3 hours of me? Took the last $7,000 in my name out of my 401k, bought up about $70,000 worth of electronics, arbitraged it. You know, that was a big part of our success, is to have the always be hiring mentality. The talent's not always there when you're looking. You don't want to be sitting there trying to find somebody or find that diamond in the rough. You know, when you lose somebody and it's putting a detriment and really big negative impact on your organization. And we go through the 3 C's that we came up with. The first C is compensation. We've done dozens and dozens and dozens of exit interviews with candidates. Why didn't you take the job? Why didn't you show up? Why did you ghost? Why did you not fill out an assessment? Like, you got to have the fundamentals in place, and we'll tell people when they work with us, you know, you're not paying the right thing. The culture is maybe not where it needs to be yet. The basic fundamentals, we know that's going to make this process fail.
Boom! Dave Williams,
what's going on?
How you doing, man? Welcome back.
Doing well. How about you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. It was good catching up a little bit before. Probably asked a couple of the things. Yeah.
Always good to see you.
Yeah, so it's good to have you back in the studio. This is one of my rare solo appearances here. Jason's daughter had to go to the hospital, but just a little breathing thing. I think she's fine. So no.
Keep it in our prayers that goes well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, cool, man. For anybody that hasn't heard of you or hasn't heard your prior episodes, I would highly encourage you to go back. Dave is extremely dynamic, and that booming voice brings a lot of wisdom along with it. So you can hear his story. Why don't you do, to introduce yourself?
The Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, do the Cliff Notes of the Circuit City, and then let's just dive in.
Yeah. So I started out my journey entrepreneurship back in 2009. I was actually having some health challenges, was off of work on disability with severe autoimmune issues for about 6 months, had to force myself to get back to work before I lost my job. And obviously I was in a tough financial position, not getting paid. So here it was, get back to work. And, about probably 90 days later, Circuit City, the company I work for as an executive store manager running a $24 million superstore, they announced we're going Chapter 11. So here I am, still facing health challenges, still facing financial challenges, and I don't have a job in 90 days. Always had an entrepreneurial spirit. My dad was an entrepreneur, and I had a friend of the family that was actually with Allstate Insurance. Decided, doctors were telling me at the time, you're going to be on long-term disability for life. Decided that wasn't going to be my path, and I was going to figure something out and start my own business on my own terms. Decided I was going to get into the insurance industry, but the only problem was didn't have the capital to start at the time. And when the liquidators came into Circuit City, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. They basically came up to me and said, David, all the open merchandise, display merchandise, we're literally looking to blow out for pennies in the dollar. That was where a light bulb went off for me. And I said, well, what if I made it easy and just bought up all that type of inventory from every Circuit City store within 3 hours of me? Took the last $7,000 in my name out of my 401k, bought up about $70,000 worth of electronics, arbitraged it, sold it all online to basically pay off my debt, come up with the seed capital for our first scratch agency, hired a couple people that lost their job with me, and we came in just acting as if somebody was trying to take it away from us 24/7, because I was literally, even with that amount of capital, if we didn't produce revenue right away, we were going to be out of business in 60 days. So we did that, and that fear just kind of drove me, motivated me. Fast forward 10 years later, we built it to close to $20 million reoccurring revenue, one of the larger Allstate agencies in the country. We had a bunch of people on development plans in our organization to own agencies. That was part of our culture. And I ended up selling off my locations to them. My wife's still in the business, and now we're working on a whole bunch of other ventures that stem from that.
Wow. I think it was the same story, just much faster. Good job.
Yeah.
So, again, there's a couple other episodes with Dave, really good, but we're going to dive into more things because he's been doing a lot of stuff, and it's good to catch up. I noticed you on the now back up social networks that you've been doing 75 hard, and I think that's a really important thing. Just as an entrepreneur, we're taken in so many different directions, and to be able to put focus into one thing, and especially the whole body, because the body affects the mind, and then without the mind, you really can't do anything.
Our health is our wealth.
Yes. Talk a little bit about that. I'm so fascinated with it because I will admit that I did it and failed, and I just need to dig back in and start it over again. But it's a mind thing.
So that ties back to my health autoimmune challenges that I spoke of when I was going through the financial transformation. Along the way, I was on medications for for, 18 years. They had me on painkillers, muscle relaxers, anti-inflammatories, biologics, the immune system, all to manage the condition. And the doctors told me there is nothing else you can do. You're going to be on these for life. Things started to get worse, started to cause other issues, other health issues. Then they wanted to put me on more severe medication. That's when I said enough was enough. Started literally obsessively going doctor to doctor to doctor, putting the same focus on my health that I did in my business, treating it like a business.
Right.
Found a doctor in Washington, D.C. that did things differently. They did gut health testing, micronutrients testing, all kinds of blood work, hormone testing, heavy metal testing. We basically took all that data together, came up with a protocol, and I started eating just super, super clean, non-inflammatory diet. And when I mean clean, not even one cheat meal, just like super, just all in.
What were those? I saw a picture with a bunch of cookies on Facebook. What was that?
That must have been somebody else's. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No cookies here. But I tried to do just super, super clean. And, doing that for probably about 3 weeks. First time ever, just started feeling better, a little bit better, and tapered off of all my meds for the first time in 18 years. I'm about 3.5 years in now, just managing the condition all through, natural means, all through diet. And the second component of that I never really got under wraps is doctors always told me, because with my autoimmune condition, it's called ankylosing spondylitis. It's a degenerative spine condition. They say, don't heavy lift. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to injure yourself. That limited belief always kept me from really working out, and the pain to go along with it too, because I'd work out, be in pain for 2 days. But this time here, I decided that, I was going to, again, go against the grain, go all in. I think the different dynamic here as well was a group of entrepreneurs invited me in 75 Hard, and we're doing it in an accountability group. And, some of these guys were already in great shape, and some of us were on the same journey. But I think there was that accountability and the fact that we had a deadline together, and it was not just the program, but there was a group of us. That, and another big motivator was my son. Like, my son was born in December of last year, and he's been a big motivator for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. To just really try to get in the best shape of my life so I can be more present for him, play baseball with him one day. So it was perfect timing between that star line. I just said I'm going to go all in on it. I'll tell you, the first 2 to 3 weeks was absolute hell with the pain. Yeah. But after I pushed through, got some momentum going, it made all the difference in the world. And, since I finished the program, 75 days, and those of you that don't know what 75 Hard is, you basically got to do 2 workouts a day. They got to be spaced 3 hours apart, at least 45 minutes per workout. One of them has to be indoors. One of them has to be outdoors, regardless of the climate. And you got to stick on a very disciplined, strict meal plan throughout the entire time. You got to read 10 pages of the book, drink a gallon of water, and that's basically the program, and then do a progress pic daily. So again, I went all in on that. After like 2 to 3 weeks momentum, started just increasing my strength. I noticed my pain decreasing. Obviously it didn't heal me overnight or anything, but it was giving me notable difference. It was giving me more hours in the day, more energy, more mental clarity. And I started doubling down, working out harder. And I think throughout the whole journey, when I originally started everything, it was probably weighing in at about 153 pounds, one of my lowest weight I was ever at. I was skinny. I felt weak. And lo and behold, that was, kind of really holding me back, because now I'm back up to 170. Trying to get my target weight of 175, but put on a lot more muscle. That gave me a lot more stability. And, I think just doing the weight training in the morning, hot yoga or biking at night, like gives me that reset with my health in the morning, gives me the reset at night, and just created this totally different dynamic to me where I think it made me even more intense than usual. So.
Well, and it's amazing when you're able to finally get in that rhythm and get that momentum with a workout plan, that same discipline translates over to the other parts of your life.
100%. Absolutely. And I think, it's like pain. Anybody who's dealt with chronic pain, it like weighs you down. Like especially after a long day, you don't want to do anything else. You're not as present with your family. You just want to lay down. You want to rest.
Right.
And I'd say, that created an extra 2 to 3 hours for me, because, I get off, I'm done with work for 5, 6 o'clock, and I'm not as fatigued. I'm not feeling that same level of pain. It didn't go away, but it's probably down about, for me anyways, 25% of what I'm used to dealing with, which is all the difference in the world to give more mental clarity, more time, more presence.
Right. It's interesting, without getting down a whole rabbit hole of the healthcare world, but it seems like the doctors will treat the masses, right, and not take that individual approach. And you've got that, but you had to go through so much to get to that. And
it was a ton. I mean, and anybody listening, maybe going through other, things that, one good place to start, there's a good test out there. It's called Viome, because I believe like gut health is everything. It ties to a lot of the disease that we deal with. And I think, a lot of healing, what we you deal with is through the gut, but it's Viome, and you can actually test your gut health. Also gives you a micronutrient test on your whole body.
Oh, wow.
It basically gives you all that data in an app, tells you what foods you should eat for your specific body type, what foods you shouldn't eat. And then if you want to go a little bit further, they have a program, I think it's like $149 or $199 a month, where they make custom supplements specific to your body type and specific to all your lab work that came back that are designed for you. But that's like a great place. I tell people to start there when you're dealing with some things.
Well, and millions of people are dealing with different types of autoimmune. I have psoriasis, and I know that stress and my diet definitely affect it. It's really easy to reach for the biologic, shoot yourself, and then it goes away. But I don't think that it's actually treating it, right? It's just the Band-Aid.
No, 100%. It's doing the symptom, and that's where a lot of these doctors I sought out. They're like, hey, you need modern medicine a lot of times to get through it, but there's usually something that triggered or some other underlying cause that triggered the autoimmune disease. And it's like, let's get to the root cause of that, try to treat that to, reverse symptoms or get you into a place of wellness. Right.
Well, it's to translate that over, like in business, right? Business owners will look for the quick fix when things aren't going right. So like in the insurance world, maybe it's, I need instant results. I'm going to buy tons of live transfers. And then what they don't do is figure out the math on that. And it usually isn't something that you get a good cost per sale on, right? It's going to be expensive. And, but they see the results, so they think that something's happening. And
then I think like the same thing there too. You find something that does work, it just doesn't work. It's not a magic bullet. It's like consistency, doing the right things, discipline. And the second you lay off of it 1, 2, 3 days, like everything just falls apart. And I found the same thing with this. Is like literally for me, anyways. I can't have one. Like I have one bad meal, I pay the price. Like the next day, the day after that, the day after that. So it's like I got to keep as consistent as possible and stay disciplined to it.
Are you just plants, or can you eat meat too?
Well, I do meat, but I'll do like lean, organic, farm-raised chicken, eggs. I'll do wild-caught Atlantic salmon. Cool. Do that for protein, and then just organic greens, non-nightshade vegetables, no processed food, no processed sugars, no gluten, no dairy. Anything inflammatory, I really just keep out of the diet.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, and as I'm getting older, I'm noticing that now I get the joint pain from the psoriasis because you get the psoriatic arthritis. So I know that it's not going to improve if I don't take those steps. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Diet's everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's switch gears. Now you sold the agencies. Lauren still has an agency, or one of the agencies?
Yeah, she still got her own agency. And then, we sold off, divested to, probably 4 team members we had internally that were on development plans to own their own agency. And
nice.
They were ready, and kind of the stars aligned, and, worked out really well for them, worked out well for us. And then, that kind of gave us the fuel, I guess the rocket fuel to pour into some other business ventures, which has been fun and exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that a lot of agents want to hear the goodies and hear like, what was it that you did differently than the 95% who weren't able to scale to that level and then spin it off and look at other entrepreneurial ventures? What did the sales funnel look like in your agency, and maybe even at Lauren's agency? Because I'm sure times have changed even in this small few years, from what works then and what works now, and what worked versus everybody else. What kind of things were you doing?
Yeah, I'll tell you, in the very, very beginning, the biggest thing and the biggest asset to me was being in it from the very beginning. And I go to this place because I think this step gets skipped a lot. A lot of times we become business owners and we're automatically like the CEO. Right. I'm a firm believer, no matter what company you start in, you got to start at the bottom. Like master, if it's a sales position that you're looking to hire somebody and coach and train them, master it first, achieve mastery around it. Customer service, achieve mastery around it. Because I look at it, if I can't personally master it and I can't push the bar to the furthest that I can personally push it to know what, not just what good looks like, but what great looks like and what is truly possible, how can I hold a team member accountable to a metric, a behavior, or anything else? So I found by being my own best salesperson, which I had to do in the beginning, like it was survival, just worked out for me really well because I had a person on the left of me, a person on the right. That was one of my best forms of training, was osmosis. Like I hustled, I ground, I figured it out, and, working, putting in hours, but it was real difficult for them not to emulate me when their boss was sitting next to them doing it.
100%.
And by having that allowed me to, I'd say, train, coach, and develop, sniff out the BS. When somebody said this couldn't be done or it's not possible, you couldn't do it, I knew exactly every nuance. I knew every objection objection, how to overcome it, what to tell them, how to close a deal, how to build rapport. Like every aspect of it that I expected out of them, I knew. I feel if you don't have all those fundamentals down in a business, it makes it very difficult, because when you're being fed excuses of why the result's not coming or why your team's not getting it done, like you're kind of throwing darts a little bit. Yes, it's just like, just go out and do it. But you don't fully understand it at the depths that you possibly could to help them in the trenches and really navigate. So that was one. Once we got there, I think the biggest thing, that having somebody on the left and having somebody to the right of me, very quickly, I created a couple mini-me's. As soon as I did that, I hired a wave of people underneath, and I just replicated what worked. I put them in the middle. I put a person on the left of them, a person on the right of them. Each one of them increased their compensation structure, held them accountable as a team lead, and said, hey, there's more opportunity for you. I want to help you get a name on the door one day. But you got to show me you can do it in a safe environment here to be able to show me that you can do it there. And, we're going to incentivize you for it. And we did that and basically modeled that out, where they led few team members underneath them. They coached, developed them. And then we built an entire infrastructure around that. And, once we did that and we started to grow and scale, I found that culture was absolutely everything, because eventually got to one point where, we hit a brick wall and we stopped scaling. And what was it? And I'll never forget, I went to a business conference, and at this business conference, I had the person that operated the number 1 through 7 Honda dealerships. So they are, they have 7 Honda dealerships. And when they look at the ranking across the entire United States of America, every one of their dealerships ranked 1 through 7. So that's a phenomenon, in and itself. And what he attributed that to was having non-compromising culture. He came up with set non-negotiables, came up with this incredibly exciting culture, where the culture was so profound that eventually it attracted the right people inside of the culture into the organization. They almost didn't have to look for people. Those people came to them. And it was all the right people that possessed all the right attributes. So we came back, analyzed our business, realized we had people in our organization that weren't living all the values and non-negotiables that I had. And one day, light bulb went off and said, hey, my name's on the door. This is going to look, operate, and feel exactly the way I want it to be. There's going to be 100% positivity in there. There's going to be no negativity. We're going to not allow excuses. We're going to be solution-oriented. And we came back to the team and said, you don't have to change overnight, but we're going to do a 60-day transition. These are the non-negotiables that we came up in here. This is what we want our environment to look like. And then we solicited feedback. Once we put our vision out there, like, what do you guys want the environment like? What makes it exciting? What makes it like not even work when you come in? And we created this ideal scene. And over the course of those 60 days was to develop it into that. And eventually we did. And we had some people that produced for us that put up numbers that ended up, no longer being a part of our team because they just couldn't make the change. While they were putting up personal numbers, we'd bring in new team members and they're chirping behind the scenes, well, the leads are bad, or this sucks, or this is bad today. They're poisoning the mind of others. So while, hey, I think this person's an asset putting up 40 items, like I'm losing people as fast as they come in, and I'm seeing the mindsets of other people get impacted drastically. So we made those decisions, and I think everybody in the organization saw and appreciated what we were trying to accomplish. And, our non-negotiables were live with integrity with everything that you do. Always be coachable. Train every single day. The best athletes in the world, they train every single day. There's something to be said about that. So if you want to be the best version of you and continue getting better, you got to train. Make solutions, come up with solutions, not excuses. We had a rule of 3. We realized that the same people were coming up with the same problems. It was bogging down me and everybody else in the organization over and over and over again. But it wasn't that they didn't know how to solve the problem. You know what it was? It was easier just to come ask Dave or ask somebody else in the organization to give me the answer, so I didn't have to think, and I could just be a drone and operate on autopilot. So once we implemented the rule that you couldn't come to us with a problem unless you had 3 solutions to it and a recommendation of what the best of the 3 was, what do you think happened? Every time they came to us, they had 3 solutions, and before they knew it, they realized they were actually problem solving their own problem. They're going to have to have a solution to it anyways, and they would just stop coming to us with problems unless it was something truly, genuinely above their scope, which was very few and far between situations. They would get us involved, and we'd be there to support them. Another big thing was PMA, positive mental attitude. It's not to say somebody couldn't have a bad day, because life happens around us every day. But what that bad day couldn't translate into is negativity, toxicity that's going to negatively impact other people around them, and leaving people better off, whether they're interacting with a coworker, a customer, any human being in some way, shape, or form, leaving that individual better off, providing them value that made their day better, their week better, their life better. And we just built fundamentals around this, and we built our culture around this, and we treated our employees around this, and we made things fun, and we made it a family-oriented work atmosphere. You came in and the energy popped, and lo and behold, forward later on for us, I know we're going to get into talking recruiting here. Recruiting became very easy because we started to have these like culture brand ambassadors inside of our organization. They were so excited about working for us that they told other people, they put things on social media, and you have that in your social media enough. Like attracts like. Other people wanted to be a part of that, but the people that wanted to be a part of that were very similar dynamic of the people that we already had crushing it for us.
Yeah.
And, so between that and our hiring process that we developed that turned into Team Hired, that was a big part of our success, was to have the always be hiring mentality and always bringing on talent. Even when we didn't need talent, we'd bring it on because the talent's not always there when you're looking, and you don't want to be sitting there trying to find somebody or find that diamond in the rough. When you lose somebody and it's putting a detriment and really big negative impact on your organization.
Right.
But
yeah.
Those are some of the big fundamentals. One last thing, inspect what you expect. We inspected what we expected every single day. We looked at our best people and said, what made them the best? What made them tick? Is their attitude, their tonality, like how, so, we would look for those type of behaviors, recognize them. But we would take a look at, okay, our best people, they're doing 4 hours talk time a day, maybe 150 dials a day. And then they're closing at least one deal a day. So we made that,
Right.
That was it. We put a sales director in place. We had all of our team members underneath them. That sales director went around and treated the day like a football game. Every 2 hours, if they knew 4 hours was the talk time goal, there's 8 hours in a day, 2 hours in a quarter. They should be at an hour talk time. They should have about 35 dials in. And oh, by the way, what does the pipeline look like that's going to get you to that sale at the end of the day, that's going to hit you your daily goal, your weekly goal, your monthly goal? And we just hit that every single quarter of every single day. And it just became so embedded that they knew that's all we talk about is customer experience, sales revenue, customer experience, sales revenue, activity, that was just part of the culture. And there wasn't letting foot off the gas. It was just easy, consistent activity, right behaviors day in and day out. So it wasn't this knee jerk, hey, I'm focusing on sales today, I'm going to let my foot off the gas the rest of the week, and then I'm going to turn it back on. It was just things were always flowing. And I think that made a better work atmosphere for people too, because they didn't have that anxiety at the end of the month trying to hit their sales goal so they can pay the mortgage. We really built an infrastructure that supported them, supported our business.
There was so much in there that it's just, wow. I think that they probably have paused it multiple times now to take notes, but I can attest, Dave, to all of those things, because basically everything that you've said, and I've heard it over time from you, these things, we've modeled a lot of these things within our agency. Asking when they come to ask the question, you're doing yourself and them a disservice by just fixing the problem. You have to create critical skills thinking within the organization. And I love telling them, hey, look, there's come back to me with 3 solutions and 1 recommendation, because it ends up where they don't come to you anymore. They start actually solving their own problems. And these are people that you think maybe wouldn't even be capable of it, but they do it.
Oh, yeah.
And
but then you know what? The beautiful thing about it is they start to grow. When they start to solve their own problems, they get pretty good at solving their own problems. And then what happens is they start solving bigger problems for themselves and bigger problems for you.
Right.
That's what a leader does.
Yeah.
So it's really teaching them that, that extreme leadership, to take that self-accountability, you go out and do it, and then they're developing without even realizing it.
Right. And you create that ripple effect, because now they're doing that at home. They're doing it with everybody that they touch. They're in a better place. Now their whole life isn't a mess over here. So they come in and everything just encourages a better situation, which is awesome. So I love that. Cool. I love the first few times when you do it, and then they come to you, okay, I have 3 things, but this is I'm going to do this. And you're like,
yeah, and then
thank you.
It's like turn back around.
You just see them like realize, oh wait, I can do this, right? So
and then you
awesome.
Celebrate it. Like you got somebody that solves something big, boom, celebrate it. It's like celebrating the behavior, like it's all part of it's part of the culture and dynamic.
Yeah, I think that, and maybe it's the younger folks, the coddling and all the trophies and everything. They're afraid to make a mistake because maybe they haven't made any mistakes per se, right? And so now it's okay. It's okay to make the wrong choice and make a mistake if you learn from it, right? We're not doing brain surgery over here, or nobody's going to die on the table with a bad decision. So we just have to encourage them to do it, fail, learn, and move on. So I love that. There's so many things in there, Dave.
I think the last piece is giving them an opportunity to be in your seat, right?
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of times I'll see people, I don't want to lose this person. I don't want to keep them forever. I want to hide the agency owner opportunity or whatever that may be from them.
Yeah.
But I found the exact opposite. That's what allowed us to retain our people for years, is that promise and commitment. You do all the right things, we're going to develop you to owning your own agency. Yep. And then we had a, contingency plan there where when we went to sell that, we had our people lined up, and it was a life-changing event for them. But that's the reason that they stuck with us the entire time, because we worked with them. We helped them become leaders. We created weekly leadership meetings, helping their leadership skills, taught them all the base fundamentals that they would need to know operating a business. So when they went in there on day one, it wasn't I'm getting hit by a fire hose and I'm drowning. It was like, all right, I got my footing already and I know what to do and I can navigate this. And, that resulted in them not just buying the agency, but, doing relatively well in comparison to, everybody else in their market. And
I love it.
I'd say just have that out there. And that's what we tell people when we recruit too, is, when you're putting it out there, a great way to make you different from Amazon, Google, all these flashy, attractive companies. Oh, wow, I'm working for Google. Well, you can't go to Google and maybe work there 3 to 4 years and then get your name on the door. Oh, by the way, if you just came in and got your name on the door, bought that, had the revenue of the book, paid down the loan, and you didn't even grow it a dime, you kept it the same, which is not the goal of doing this, but let's say that's what happened. All of a sudden, 10 years later, you have $1 million asset and you're a millionaire. What other employment opportunity are you going to walk into in America where you're going to get that? That's why you got to come work with me. And, that's the difference there. And then it's following through with that commitment. It's not just saying it and then, hey, we never talk about it again. But you're like literally every month, let's check in. Let's get you closer to those goals. And that's what shifted the dynamic too, because we stopped managing the number and we started managing the goal. Because we knew, hey, your personal goals are this. I want to buy a house for my child. For my family. I want to get them this education. And my professional goals is getting my name on the door. Now, if they're not doing the dials, they're not putting in the work, they're not closing the deals, it's not you didn't hit your dials today or you didn't hit your talk time. It's you made a commitment to me. You made a commitment to your family. You told me what your goals are. And it's my job as a leader to hold you accountable to that. If I wasn't holding you accountable to that, I'd be failing you as a leader. And I'm not going to allow you to just mail it in today. I get you're having a bad day, but should your kids have to pay the price because you're having a bad day today? And you don't want to make dials and you don't want to close a deal, because by you not closing the deal today, potentially tomorrow or the next day, it's a slippery slope. You don't get the paycheck that you need that's going to pay for the new mortgage of that new house that you want. And you don't build up the consistency that you need to have within you, because you can't have bad days in business. Bad days you just need to be on every single day. You need to be on for your team and you need to get conditioned to that. That's the only way you're going to get your name on the door. And when you have that type of conversation, it's hard to say no to that. It's hard to, no, because now you put it in a different frame, which is the truth. And when they look at the number as not just a number anymore, but they see the number as their kid and they see it's that brand new door, and they start to visualize the door to that house that's bigger, that's more dynamic, that's more conducive for their family. And they start to visualize they're sitting in your seat. And that's the reason to do it. They're doing it with why. They're doing it with purpose. And we made sure every single person was following their passion, following their why, following their purpose. Because when you got people that are like working, not just to work, but they're doing it because their soul's on fire, like you start to build some pretty magical things. That's what we've always tried to do in any one of our organizations, is just bring that fire out of people.
So great. Now, another thing here with hiring and recruiting. So let's get to the elephant in the room here with that. I think that it's probably the number one challenge for agents. If I did a post recently of I put a post in the Insurance News group and just said, what's your biggest challenge in your agency? Hiring. So some leads for you there. But what's remarkable is then if you follow up with, well, what are you doing? And it's like, I scheduled 3 interviews and nobody showed up. And I think that there has to be some understanding about, you have a sales funnel and hopefully understand those numbers. But there's also a hiring funnel from, you need the contacts, you need the resumes, then the interviews scheduled, then the in-person, and that whole thing. Otherwise, you aren't going to get that person at the end. And I don't know if my numbers are right, but what we've seen is something like 60, 30, down to 10, and then you end up hiring 1. So it takes a lot in the front, which is, of course, why I've outsourced your company, because there just isn't time. Somebody said earlier on Facebook today, that sounds like a full-time job. When I said, this is the pipeline, this is how many people, this is what you need. And he said, that's a full-time job. I said, exactly. That's why I use Team Hired, because I can't do that, right? My time is more valuable than the few $1,000s that it costs to maintain a constant flow of candidates like that. I don't want to think about that.
And I tell people all the time too, I mean, if you really analyze it, for most people, it doesn't even really cost money, because that $2,000 to $3,000, if you're to put a dollar value on your time based off what you're making annually a year, the number of hours that you're investing in it, the lost opportunity cost of not focusing on growing your business and focusing on that, the ad cost, the Indeed ad cost, across wherever you're putting job ads up, then the labor to dial out to those people, get them scheduled, reviewing the resumes, bring them in for second interviews. There's a lot of moving parts and components to that. And when we really add it up at the end of the day, 1 month, 2 month, 3 months out of doing that, the expense adds up pretty exponentially. It's not that immediate hit.
Right.
So I tell people, anybody that, just like anything else, like find a great marketing company when you're trying to market. Like, don't wear too many hats. Find out what you're really, really good at. Focus on those core fundamentals in your business and just outsource the rest. So you can have predictability and consistency.
Right. A lot of agents will have the scarcity mentality of, I only have these resources, so I can't afford, I need to do it myself. But you can't do it yourself because there isn't enough time. And so you have to spend to get that. And then there's also that tail, right? 4 weeks for sale, for whatever, maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks to find a candidate. So they don't see the instant return. They turn off the flow of the cash to that strategy too early. We see it over and over and over again. And it's hard. I mean, I get it. There can be thin margins at times, but you have to put it in to get it back out. What do you
100%.
see? What do you see as the biggest mistakes that agents make in the hiring process?
Well, I mean, that's where we really took a different approach to this, where we don't come in as a third-party vendor. We try to come in, we pride ourselves in, we typically get the job done in a third of the time, a third of the cost, but we don't want to be a third-party vendor, but more of an extension of their brand.
Yeah.
And how we do that is we come in and we'll first and foremost shore up the hiring process, because that's one of the most common things. Even though we're in one of the most challenging and most difficult job markets we've ever seen, one of the biggest hurdles we see out there is maybe the foundation not being where it should be. And that's where we develop our 3 C's. So we start off the process by coaching and consulting the person that we work with, our client that we work with, to really get a good understanding. And we go through the 3 C's that we came up with. The first C is compensation. We've done dozens and dozens and dozens of exit interviews with candidates. Why didn't you take the job? Why didn't you show up? Why did you ghost? Why did you not fill out an assessment? And literally 98% of the time, it came down to the 3 C's. Compensation being one of them. Make sure you're competitive in the marketplace. Great people don't cost money. I'll say that again. Great people don't cost money, because great people produce, and when they produce, they're making you money.
Yep.
But you have to pay great people great. And you have to make the right investment for the right person. And at the very, very least, be competitive for your job. Like, you can't come in with a $30,000 base or a $24,000 base and say, hey, sink or swim. You're not going to pick up the talent that you want to.
Right.
And sometimes there's interesting ways that you could do. Is like, hey, I got this person. They're making X, Y, Z. I don't know how I can afford them. Well, maybe what you do in the first 60, give them a very, very lucrative incentive plan. And maybe in the first 60 to 90 days, match their base pay at their past employer. So you're giving them that ramp up time, and it curates that fear and anxiety. I can't afford to possibly not make anything and not pay my mortgage, but I know I'm getting a predictable income until I become skilled at this job. And to make it very abundantly clear that, a lot of places you go, you can do very, very well in this industry. Again, paint that picture of the long-term career path.
Right.
And what I'm willing to do is something most people aren't willing to do for you. I'm not only going to invest in you and your license because I believe in you, but you come aboard, you get licensed, I'm gonna guarantee you your pay for the next 60 to 90 days. And that's somebody, if you got somebody really dynamic, really skilled, and you're in that place, you can't afford it without guaranteed results. That's a great way to do it, mitigate your risk. But whatever you do, you gotta make sure your compensation plan is competitive. And then 2, you gotta make sure that your compensation plan is simple. So I'll see too many times, it's maybe like 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages long. And imagine like somebody from outside of the industry coming in and getting a 5-page comp plan that has all these different nuances that makes sense to us in our brains, because we know the insurance industry, like, you got to do this is a qualifier, this is something you got to do daily. But they bring it home to their spouse when they're like just getting like a 1-sentence blurb from Google that says you're making X amount a year and then you make this kind of bonus. But then they bring like a dictionary home to their spouse. This is how I get paid. I'm going to make a lot of money. Well, you're probably not going to garnish the confidence that you need from the candidate, but you're certainly not going to accomplish the garnishment you need, confidence that you need from the spouse when they come home and try to articulate it.
Right.
So I say keep it simple, keep it 1-pager. And, I highly recommend, again, having compensation plans that are highly incentivized off performance, where they can make a lot of money if you're making a lot of money. But map that out. If you come in and just hit my bare minimum expectation, you're like a bare minimum kind of guy or a bare minimum kind of girl, this is what you're going to make on a monthly and annual basis. If you come in and you're average, so you come in and you just operate at average in terms of what interpret average in an organization, this is what you can make monthly, this is what you can make annual. If you come in and light the world on fire, this is what not top people are doing in my agency, think outside your box. This is what top people are doing in my state to show you what is possible. You got to work hard for it, you're going to have to grind for it, but you can make 6 figures plus if you do that. You tell me though, are you a minimum expectation kind of person? Because I know that's not the reason I'm hiring you today. Are you average, or are you going to light the world on fire? fire when you come to work for me? And then basically whatever your answer is to that question is going to be your compensation plan forward. Simple, good, better, best. Have it laid out. All the other stuff, I get it. You want to articulate to that, put it in your employee manual and have them sign it, cover it on day one after you sign the deal. Don't confuse it, complicate it. It's kind of like, you're sitting down with somebody, they agree to go out with you and date you, and then like come out with this contract, like they're probably not going to go the next day. Like keep it simple in the beginning, build a relationship, leave that for later. The next piece is, I talked about this prior, is culture. And what I tell people to do before you even bring a candidate into your office, go look into your office tomorrow with a different lens. Literally walk in the day unbeknownst. Like they're not expecting you at a random time during the day. Walk through, what do you see? How is the lighting? How is the cleanliness? How does it smell? How is the atmosphere? How is the energy? What is the attitude of the employees? Does it feel stressful, the environment? Does it feel like chaos? Or is it exciting? Is it fun to work there? What is your optics and perception? Because when you bring a candidate in there, they're seeing all those things you're not paying attention to. Are the desks clean or are they piled up with junk? Because now when they're making a decision, they're likely going to be spending more time in your organization than they are with their own family members. So if they see something they don't like, and again, you're competing against Google and a lot of these other flashy, attractive companies in glass boxes, look sexy, wear hoodies to work. You're competing against culture. Like, what does your culture look like? Make it so freaking dynamic that it becomes magnetic, where when they see it, they beg, they crave, they thirst to be a part of it, and just make your culture is so profound. But when you do that too, I guarantee it's going to change your life, because you'll also be coming into that same culture. Work doesn't become as stressful as much anymore. Start having a whole lot of fun when you're in your ideal scene and environment, but just create that before you expect to bring like that rock star into your organization. Last piece is long-term career path. So we'll go through that. Are you showing it what it is? One of the best career opportunities in America, where they like come in, mentor 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road, depending on where you're at now and where you need to be. If you put it all to work, you can get your name on the door. And let me show you that high level overview economics of what that looks like. Like, not many places you can walk into. I guarantee you there's nobody on Indeed, nobody on ZipRecruiter, there's nobody on LinkedIn. I don't care how big the company was, Fortune 500 company. None of them laid out a path for you to become a 7-figure millionaire. And it's not like this Fugazi, it's like a smoke screen that it's only the few can do. Literally, if you come in, you do like an average job, you maintain your book, you pay off your loan in 10 years, like you have a 7-figure asset. And that's like, what would that do for your family? What would it do for the flexibility? And now you paint this picture around the vision. It's like, I have to say yes to that now. This is what I want to come into. And it's like having the right package for the right candidate when they come along. So that, I say, instrumentally is everything. Having that there first and foremost, having the foundation in place to attract the right people. And then when you do it, it's, so like you said, it's the way we come in and do it, it's a numbers game. We take everything off the plate. So we'll do that type of consultation. We'll put up all the job ads. We manage the job ads, we manage the flow of candidates, and the way we vet the candidates is totally different than normal, because normally you go through resumes, you probably do a little bit of over-analysis, paralysis, looking for the perfect resume, and the perfect person for you is not always the perfect resume, keep in mind, but because you got your eyes on it and you're looking for this perfect resume, this unicorn, you go through, you buy 100 resumes, you find one of them, they don't answer the phone, and you're like, it doesn't work for 3 of them, and it doesn't work. Not everybody's a perfect resume, so we'll take them, we'll weed out the very bottom that we know is not going to be a fit, but the rest, we'll have our team calling on your behalf, scheduling them in the Zoom rooms, virtual rooms like this. So all you got to do is show up, and there might be 10, 15 people on that group interview call. We have a dedicated account manager that, again, that's an extension of your brand, understands what you're looking for. You can be as involved or as uninvolved in the process as possible. Most of our clients, what they like to do is let us just do what we do and sit back and get to pay attention to the candidates. So we'll have our person come in, ask the creative interview questions that invoke creative responses, because the person that's witty, that thinks on their feet, that can problem solve a question that they've never heard before, guess what they're going to do inside your organization? They're going to be witty, they're going to think on their feet, they're going to problem solve, they're going to overcome objections. But the person that can't, that stumbles, fumbles, that doesn't do it, they're probably going to stumble and fumble, and you're going to probably have to teach them the same thing over and over again, so you want to beat your head against the wall. And really, at the end of the day, it's not their fault, not yours. They're just not the right fit for your culture. They're not the right fit for your organization. So we take care of that for you. you and then determine what are the, top 2 to 3 people out of that group interview session. Get them scheduled on your calendar for a one-on-one interview. I know a lot of people do assessments. We recommend having that assessment process so it's just one less thing to chase. When you meet them for that one-on-one interview, have a professional workstation set up, have them take the assessment right then and there. You like them, boom, assess them, get it, get the rest of your data on them, make the decision. And what we're seeing is you got to act fast in this market. Like there's no longer, wait 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, wait 2 weeks. Like there's no longer this long wait because there's fewer and far between great quality candidates that are out in the marketplace today. There's more employers than ever that are looking for those same people that will start them tomorrow, that'll pay them a signing bonus, that will act fast. It's the same thing as like an internet lead coming in. If you don't call it right away, you don't engage it right away, and you don't keep the engagement going, somebody else is going to close the deal. It's the same thing here. I always used to be, this is the opposite of the way I used to think was, hire very slow, fire fast. Well, now it's hire fast, fire fast. Right. You can't afford you can't afford the missed opportunity because otherwise in this market, you're in this perpetual cycle of losing these great candidates. Just bring them in there, vet them, not vet them, but vet them to the point you feel comfortable, bring them inside of the organization, and don't be afraid to pay somebody or invest in somebody, because this is what I see not work out as well is, hey, go get your license and come back to me. Again, like not a bad school of thought that worked in the past, but in this job market, when the average American doesn't have more than $1,000 in their checking account for an emergency, they're in the need for a job. And now all of a sudden you just painted a picture that you're not going to get a paycheck for a month and a half, potentially 2 months, depending on when you pass, depending on when you start, depending on when that first check comes in after you start. Most people in America are not in that position, and you're going to lose good people because of that. I get the logic behind it too. The logic is, well, I got burned before and I paid somebody for 60, 90 days. It was a $10,000 investment. Well, I lost them. Well, there's a solution in the middle. The solution in the middle that we recommend, bring them in, have them on a tight guideline. And this is why we came up with a lot of our packages. We'll do promotions and we'll include this with our pricing, our licensing boot camp. And basically it includes all the licensing material. Standalone, it's only $495, so it's cheaper than most education courses that are out there. But the way we designed it is we aim to design it to solve the problem that really got in the way, which was lack of work, lack of putting the work in the study, lack of accountability. And really it comes down to is the agency owner doesn't have time to micromanage the people, see how you're studying, make sure they're studying the right way to learn and putting the right hours in. So what we do in our boot camp is, bring them in, put them in there. It's a 14-day boot camp. We start them in the morning. We set expectations of what they're going to study for the next 3 hours, check in with them midday, follow up on the progress, give them their next round of homework for the rest of the day, follow up on the progress, give them homework that night that they have to do by the end of the day. And we send a PDF flyer out to every single agent that we work with on the progress of their exact person of where they're at. And we even do incentives in there too. So, if they are top passing their class and they graduate, they can get a bonus or gift card for being number 1 in their class, number 1 and 2 in their class. So we create the structure, the accountability, because it really shouldn't take more than 2 weeks to get it done. And more times than not, they get it done in 2 weeks just because they're following the program, they're putting the work in, they're being held accountable to it, they're being micromanaged to it, which they need during this process because not everybody's good at studying. And because they're not good at it, they dislike it. And what do we do when we dislike things? They're uncomfortable. We shift away from them. We procrastinate, and then we don't put the work in that we need to do to get it done. And that's why it takes 60 to 90 days to pass something that should take 14.
Right.
So invest in somebody. Tell them, I'll pay you when you come on, but you got 3 weeks max to pass this thing. Otherwise, you're on straight commission then. There's no reason you shouldn't pass it in there. I'm giving you ample time frame. But that mitigates investment, and then even put them on a probationary period too. Say, hey, if this doesn't work out in 60 days, you're not a fit for our culture. We'll cut this off. And you can really, at any given point in time, again, that goes into the fire fast solution. This person comes in, they got call reluctance. They're not doing what they want to do. They're not fitting in your culture. Pull the cord fast before you go deep into the rabbit hole with them and get the right person in, inside of your organization. But that's what we're seeing you have to do in this type of job market is move quick, get them in there quick. And that way you're not missing out on great talent, maybe to a competitor or organization out there.
Yeah. I mean, if they're getting interviewed by you, then they're getting interviewed by multiple, and you being the agent, they're getting interviewed by other people too, because they look good. And I mean, I can say from my experience, and we've been using you for a long time, consistently, just keep going. Anybody that we've brought on has been because of your organization. So, and we've done great.
thank
We've
you.
been, averaging over 200K a month. So, really lighting it up with the right people. You get the right butts in the seats, it pays for itself all day long.
Yeah. And if you want to, you know what, hire 2 people. If you need one person, hire 2.
Yes.
There's, at the end of the day, I'll tell people, I'll be transparent. We're not, at the same time, while we got a great process, we got, over 600 video testimonials from agents, we get great results. We're also not a magic bullet that's just going to solve the problem. Like, you got to have the fundamentals in place, and we'll tell people when they work with us, if you're not paying the right thing, the culture is maybe not where it needs to be yet. The basic fundamentals we know that's going to make this process fail. We'll just outright tell them, like, if you're not in a place to change these now, I'd rather do business later, because my job is not to take your money. My goal is not to just get my next sale, but there's nobody that we want to work with that we don't make a raving fan. And that's why, we really don't spend any money on marketing. We spend all of our time, energy, and focus on the customer experience and setting the bar here and trying to over deliver and truly be an extension of our brand. And because of that, we try to really protect that and build as many brand ambassadors and, kind of raving fans of our service as possible. And it's done us well. And so we'll always protect that. We always do the right thing for our customer and, make sure that, we're setting the bar here and always delivering up here. Because of that, our account managers are not allowed to close people out unless, they get a review, testimonial, or some type of feedback that's an indicative of that person was a fan of our service.
Yeah.
And they felt that we went above and beyond the scope of duty.
It works. I love it. And I can tell you also from somebody who we make it, like I used to have that mentality where, oh no, I don't want to make too many offers because then I'm going to have 10 people come in. And I can assure you that is not what happens, right? You make 3 offers, maybe you get one of them to show up because there's too many other things, right? Somebody else offers them a little bit more or something. So don't ever shoot yourself in the foot and be afraid to make too many offers. Worst case scenario, you have 2 employees instead of 1 and they're both good, right? I mean, that's what you want.
Absolutely.
So, well, Dave, this has been awesome. If somebody wants to dive in, check out Team Hired, learn some more, watch any of those testimonials, where would they go?
Yeah, I mean, they can really just go right to our website at teamhired.com. That's teamhired.com. You can email me, David Williams at teamhired.com. We got a interest form right on the website you can fill out, and we get to you right away. There's also a chat box on there too, where we can start having dialogue right away for you to see if we're a fit and
perfect
support your organization.
Love it. We just made 2 more offers today, so hopefully,
awesome.
Hopefully we get them because we're in growth mode. So that's where everybody should be. I mean, in this market, right? We need to grow. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and really, when people are thinking about, when's the time to hire? Like now is the time to hire, especially in the insurance industry. Like everybody's ramping up. You got a new year starting. Like it's going to take a good 60 days to get somebody in, get them up to speed. And if you want to hit the ground running in 2022, especially with what's at the line and what's at stake, like now. And then once you do that, like always be hiring, like always battling that next person. What I like to do, is, we'll go in there and backfill somebody. So we're overstaffed a little bit with the right person. So if we're in a place that we end up maybe losing somebody unexpectedly, it's not creating this 3-month detriment to our business that we can't get out of there. Because I guarantee you do the math. Like, and everybody, a lot of times people say, well, I can't afford to overstaff. Well, you can't afford not to, because when you calculate in how much that person's going to generate for you, you might take a little upfront hit on the chin from them. You might be taking a $3,000 a month loss in deficit. But if they're the right person and that right person is producing, and let's say they're putting up, $30,000 in premium that they're putting them up, and you got to pay that person $7,000 a month. Well, that $30,000, likely if it's like 70% auto, is really $50,000 in premium. And you're getting paid a good chunk of what you're paying that person. Yeah, you're still in the hole maybe of $2,000-$3,000. But what a lot of people don't think about is what is the lifetime value of the business that they're generating.
Yeah.
If you have a 90% retention, that's probably going to renew 8-9 more times that you have. And maybe that $5,000 in commissions you got, you're over the lifetime value of that customer is going to generate another 8 to 9 times. So that person just generated you $40,000 in lifetime value in commission that you are going to see one day. And oh, by the way, that's going to help you get to your goals. That's going to make your life a lot less stressful. That's going to grow your book. That's going to get you to your bonus. So but between all those different things, the person's going to net wash, and you got basically you're building a free book with the right person that you have there. And when you think about it that way, like again, I get back to great people don't cost money.
Nope.
You got to pick
they don't.
Great.
Yeah, and you know what's remarkable? We can wrap it up with this. When I opened my my satellite one of my satellites, I staffed the whole thing using Team Hired, and I had basically the same team for over a year and a half. same team, and which is in this world pretty very rare that you keep people for that long.
Absolutely. That's great.
And then of course you get comfortable. So I wasn't doing all of the interviewing, and then I had two people taken. Like somebody recruited them away, which was painful, but I wasn't ready. And when you're not ready, then all of a sudden that costs you. So now I'm always hired, which has been my mantra. I just got a little bit lazy.
One final to close up here. One final little guest.
Oh, look at that! How you doing? Can you say something?
This is JD.
Hey, JD.
Just turned 9 months old. So.
9 months. Hey, JD. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
He's like, what? I hear my... Welcome to the Insurance Dudes.
Yeah. On your first podcast. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go. This is a good one to be on for your first one.
Yeah. First of many.
It's like having Jason on.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Dave, thank you so much. JD, thank you. Hey, Lauren, good to hear. I heard you over there. There we go. I see your hand. Hey,
yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll put the link up for Team Hired in the show notes and hop over there. It's a really good thing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. We'll see you.
All right. Yeah.